Hey guys, Hussein and welcome to YouTube channel. So we are going to be learning crazy amount of stuff about animation, but first of all I want you to just come to this link, which is at greensock.com. If you want to type it manually, so you can, otherwise I'm going to also give you this link in the description below, so you can learn more about that if you want to. But in this course we are going to be learning about animations. So here you can see, if I click on that, it will give us a different kind of animation, and a lot of creative designer and a lot of creative people did very well job on this landing page. Okay, so you can learn more about that, and here you can check out some other great animation and stuff if you want to. But hey, we are going to be just learning the basics of it, and if you want to advance your skills, so this website will be the best friend for you. Okay, so if you want to learn more about that, feel free to do that. So before we getting into any of these stuff like GSAP stuff, so first of all I want to show you everything from the beginning, like how you would apply JavaScript animation, like vanilla JavaScript animation without using GSAP. So we are going to be starting this course from the very beginning. So the description below, I'm going to give you a link which will bring you to my GitHub repository, and there you will find two folders, the start folder and the finish folder. So I'm going to launch the finish folder once this course is launched, and by the time you're watching this video you will find this start folder. So just open that and then download there. Like, you can go to my GitHub repository, then just download this folder. It's nothing but just a simple star file. So first of all we are going to be learning about a JavaScript animation, just a vanilla JavaScript animation. After that we are going to be learning about the Tweens Set Method, from and FromTo, Staggers, controlling the tween timelines, and finally we are going to be building just a simple project, not that much huge, but just a simple project. Okay, so this is what we are going to be covering. And if you want to learn more like advanced stuff, so there are countless things you can do with this GSAP. Okay, so you can just search for that, like you can just search for anything you want and it will give you that result, and you can play around with that. Anyway, so we are going to be started working on our starter file. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to open it my Visual Studio Code. So it will now open that folder in my Visual Studio Code. So what I'll do, I'm gonna just open this folder, and I have three files right here. So the first file I have, let me just zoom in a bit. So the first file I have is that index.html file, then we have style.css file, and then we have app.js file. So we don't have no content, nothing inside there. So what I'll do, I'm going to just start from the very beginning. So I'll just write doc type HTML in lowercase. Come on, Hossein. Doc type HTML, just a boilerplate, and I'm going to just write, like, I don't know, JS animation maybe. And now let's just link it with our CSS file, and also let's just link it with our JavaScript file as well. I'm going to hide this head area because we don't need that. Now let me just create a section with the class of sidebar, and now inside this sidebar I'm going to just write ul li, and I am going to just duplicate them maybe 4 times. So let me just write 4 and boom. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just do a multiple cursor selection, and I'm going to just write a pound symbol, and I'm going to write a home and about. After that we are going to be writing our projects, and finally let me just write a contact section. Okay, so now let's just write I don't know, div with a class of center would be fine, and I'm going to just put my button in. So I'm going to write a click in here, and now if you save a file, right click on it and open it with live server. So it will now open this HTML file in a live server. Just in a second. Okay, it's taking a bit of time. Oh, come on, open it. Yep, there we go. So finally we have our star HTML file right here inside our browser. So now let me just get into the styling, and now let me just write a little bit of styling. So first of all I'm going to just write my resets, like padding will be 0, margin will be 0, box sizing, I'm going to give him like box sizing of border box. So now let me just save that. Yep, everything is working. So what I'll do, I'm going to just change the color of the background to be something like I don't know, maybe 1B, 1B, 1B would be fine. And now if you save there, yeah, this is kind of professional black color. It's not totally black color, but it is something in that shade. Anyway, so let me just get my section with the class of sidebar. So this is the section which I'm talking about right here, and I'm gonna just give him a height of like 100 VH, and the width will be 20%. Okay, so I'm gonna also give him a background of like, I don't know, 29 will be fine. If you save that, and now here you can see that sidebar right here. Okay, so I'll also provide a position of fix to it. If you scroll, so you want to scroll this sidebar with us, so I'm going to write a flex, and justify counter will be center, align items will be also totally center, and I'm going to also provide a little bit of transition to it, not duration but transition of 1 second and ease. Okay, so if you save that, and yeah, this is how it looks like. So now let's just take care of the other stuff very quickly. So I'm gonna just write a class for myself. Oh, you know what, let me just do that a bit later. I'm gonna write ul li, and I'm going to also provide an anchor tag in here as well. So I'm gonna just select my anchors. Oh, you know what, I'm gonna remove this anchor tag from here. Now let me just select my ul li, and I'm gonna just remove that list style of none. So I'm going to also provide a little bit of margin for the bottom, like 10 pixel would be fine. And now if you save that, and boom, this is how it looks like right here. Anyways, now let me just get my ul li and also the anchor tag in this case. So I'm going to just write text declaration of none. The font size, I'll just increase that to like 1.2 rems, and font family will be totally sans serif as usual, and color will be totally pure white. So if you save that, and yeah, this is looking better. Now let's just take care of this center button. So we have div, inside this div we have a center button right here. So now let me just take care of that real quickly. So I'll just make it centered so that you can see it in a centered. So I'm going to write a display of totally flex, justify counter will be now set to center, alignment will be also set to center, and height I'm going to give like 100 VH. So if you save that, boom, we have our button right here. So now let's just take care of the styling of that button. So I'm going to just write center, and let me just get my button inside there. I'm going to provide a padding of 10 pixel for top and bottom, 20 pixel for left and right. Font size will be set to 1 rem, and border, let me just remove that ugly border from it. So if you save that, so yeah, this is looking better. So now let me just take care of the colors and stuff a bit. I'm going to just write a background of I don't know, FFA31A. This is going to be the background color, and the text color will be totally white, and cursor will be pointed. So if you save that, yeah, I know it's not looking that much cool, but hey, we just want to work with a JavaScript animation. So yeah, okay, so we write this class right here. So we style this sidebar right here, but now let me just create a class for myself, which allows us to hide this sidebar, like hide and unhide this sidebar once we click on that button. So now let me just write the class for ourselves. So I'm going to just write hide. You can give him any name you like you can give him unhide class or toggle class, whatever you want, but in my case I'm going to just give him a class name of hide, and the transformation will be now set to translate to the x-axis of -230 pixel. Okay, so if you just save our file, nothing will happen. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to just put this class right here for a second. So if you save that, boom, that's gone. And here you can also see, so you know what, instead of this 230, I'm going to write 340 will be fine. And yeah, that's totally gone from there as well. Anyway, so that's looking better. Now let's get into our JavaScript and provide our interactivity to it. So we are not going to be writing that much JavaScript, but first of all we are going to be just selecting our button and sidebar. So I'm going to write cons and then sidebar, and it will be now equals to document dot query selector of sidebar. Okay, and I'm going to also select my button as well. So I'm going to write document dot query selector of button. Okay, so let me just get both of them. I'm going to write a button of add event listener, because once we click on this button, so what do we want to do? We want to just fire this function. So what is that? So inside this function, I'm going to just write sidebar dot class list, and we want to just toggle this class which we have created right here. Okay, so I'm going to just write toggle and hide. Okay, so if you save our file, and now if I click on this button, and here you can see this is our simple JavaScript animation, but it took a lot of time to write this animation. But trust me, if you are using some sort of a JavaScript library like GSAP, so it will be like very easy to work with. Okay, so there's a lot of coding right here, so you still have to write that code. I'm not saying that you will not write this styling, you will write that styling, but hey, that was just a JavaScript simple vanilla JavaScript animation I want to show you. And now let me just get into the tween, like what a tween is and all of that kind of good stuff. So here you can see inside this folder we have three files. So we have index.html file, we have app.js file, we also have the style.css file as well. So we have a little bit of styling right here, and we just have our boilerplate right here, but I'm going to remove this CDN because I want to show you everything from scratch. Okay, so we don't have nothing, so I'm going to open this folder, I mean like in this file in a live server, and here you can see we have a blank screen right here, nothing, no content, nothing inside there. Anyways, so what I will do, I'm gonna hide this head area, and I've already attached that to my style sheet right here. So I'm gonna hide that head area right here, and what I'll do, I'm gonna just write section with a class of container. Inside this container we will just have our simple box. So if you just save our file, and here you can see that styling applied to it. So their styling is coming from the style sheet right here. So we just have or a little bit of reset, then we are just centering everything inside this container, we are changing the background, and we are also just styling our box a little bit, and this is how it will looks like right here. So the main focus of this course will be on a GSAP, not on a CSS. If you want to check out my CSS course, so I've got like 14-hour or so CSS course, including a lot of projects. Okay, so now it's time to attach our link of a GreenSock or GSAP library. So if you come to this site, so here you can see that link. Okay, so if you just click on it, I guess it will just copy it to clipboard. Yeah, it is. Okay, so you can just click on that. Okay, so it's not, I guess it's okay, it is copying. If you want to download as npm package, so you just have to write like npm install in GSAP, and if you want to download that, so you can just click on this zip and it will just download it into your machine, and then you can use this GSAP. But in my case, I'm going to just click on that, and I am going to just copy that. So I'm going to just click on it, so it will automatically copy it to my clipboard, and I'm going to just paste it right here. Okay, so if you save our file, and now if you just open our network panel, let me just go to my network panel right here real quick. Let me just zoom in a bit so you guys can see everything a bit better. And now let me just refresh that, and here you can see we have this gsap.min, and the status code is set to 200. So everything is working the way we expect him to work. Anyways, so here you can see we just have our one box right here. So we want to provide a little bit of animation to it by using our GSAP. So as I said, like GSAP is a JavaScript animation library which allows us to do animation. So now let's just write a little bit of animation. So before we get into all of their animation and stuff, first of all we have to learn about the GSAP object. So the GSAP object, like this object which I'm writing, serve as the access point for the most of GSAP functionality. Like it's just a generic object with the various method and properties that creates and control tweens and timelines. So the key player in all of that GSAP. So you can say that this GSAP object is a key player in all of the GSAP world. Okay, so this is the heart of a GSAP. So now let's learn about a tween. So what in the world is a tween? A tween is just a single moment in an animation. And yeah, let me just write a tween. So first of all, we have to create our GSAP object, and then inside this GSAP object we have methods. So I'm going to just write method, and then we have an element, and then we have a var's object. Okay, so var's object, this is just a pseudo code which I'm writing right here. Let me just zoom in a bit so you guys can see everything. First of all, we have to work with a GSAP object. Then we are going to be attaching some method. Like this GSAP have a lot of method which we can use. So we are going to be using some sort of a method, and then we are going to be selecting some sort of element like h1, or I don't know if you're using like I don't know, selector, class selector, or if you're using id, so you just write a pound symbol and then id selector, whatever you have. So in my case, I'm going to just put the element right here. Okay, and then we have a var's object in which we are going to be doing most of our work. So this is just a pseudo element. So now let's learn about a gsap.to method. So I'm going to just write gsap dot, let me just write gsap, come on, and then I'm going to just access my to method inside that gsap object. And here I said like we have to specify some sort of an element right there. So first of all, we are going to be specifying our element. So what is the name of our element? In this case, the name of our element is this box right here, because we want to animate this box. So what do we have to do? I'm going to just write period and box, just a css selector, like a class selector. And after that, what I will do, I'm going to provide my var's object. Trust me, this stuff is not hard, but at first it will look a little bit of confusing. So I'll just write like, I don't know, I'm gonna just write y and 100. So if I just write y100, if we save our file, and here you can see it will just push it to the y-axis right here. Okay, so if I change that to the x, and now if you save that, and here you can see it will now push it to the x-axis right here. So if you also want to provide a duration, so we can also just provide the duration. So duration of maybe 2 seconds. So you don't have to specify the s inside there as you do in a CSS, but you just have to write 2. And now if you save our file, and let me just refresh that one more time, and here you can see it will move our element to the x-axis in 2 seconds. So it will just take 2 seconds as a duration. And you can also provide like a yo-yo property. So, oh, you know what, let me just show you the repeat. So let me just write repeat. Okay, so repeat will be now set to like -1. If I just write -1, and now if we save that, and this animation will happen again and again like infinity time. So now let me just explain this coding. So what is this x means? This x means like transform to the x-axis, transform to the x-axis like 100 pixel. Okay, so you can just specify the symbol pixel, or you can also provide a negative value if you want to. So if I just specify the negative 100, and now if we save that, it will just push it to the negative side right here. If I just remove this negative from there, it will just push it right there. Okay, so at the positive direction. So this is a shorthand for writing like a translate to the x-axis and stuff. So we just have x, and we also have a y. So if I just write y to like 2000 maybe, so if you save our file, and here you can see it will just push it right here to the bottom. Okay, so this stuff will take a little bit of time, so I'm going to just remove this x-axis, save our file. Here you can see it will just repeat our animation. That's because of this repeat -1. So if I just remove that, and if I just put like 2, if we save our file, so 1 and 2, and our animation, okay, so that was the second one. So animation will stop working right here. So that's just a simple stuff you can work with this GSAP 2 object. So I forgot to show you like what a GSAP 2 object is. So this to method is the most common type of animation in the GSAP. So this to method allow you to define the destination object, and most of the people think in terms of animating to a certain value. So you can think about that if you want to. But hey, we learned about our first object. So now let me just close all of these files, and now let me just get into the set method. So I'm going to open my HTML, CSS, and also the JavaScript files as well. And here you can see we just have link to our CSS file, and we just have link for our GSAP right here. So I'm going to just hide this head area from there, and I'm going to write that container in box one more time. So I'm going to write container and also a box. So if you save that, and here you can, okay, so we have to launch it first of all. So I'm going to launch it right here. So here you can see we have our simple box right here, and we have that container. So we just provide a little bit of styling to it. Everything is working the way we expect him to work. So now let's just learn about the set method. So the set method is used to set the properties of an element before animating. You can also use it for like immediately setting the properties of an element, or if you want to create a zero duration animation, so you can also use it for that if you want to. So what I'll do, I'm going to just write a GSAP, and then I'm going to access my set method inside there. So what will I do? I'm going to just select my box in here. Okay, so then I'm going to also provide my words object, and you know what, I'm going to provide opacity, and I'm going to set that to 0, and I'm going to also provide a background of totally maybe yellow would be fine. So now we set these two properties inside this GSAP. So if we save our file, and you cannot see that because the opacity is now currently set to 0, and the background is also set to yellow. Okay, so you cannot see both of them. The next thing which we have to do is that we have to use our GSAP.to method, as we learned just a second ago, and we also have to select our box one more time, and we have to provide our words object, and I'm going to just provide opacity of 1 in this case. So if you save our file, and boom, here you can see the opacity is now changed to from 0 to 1. Okay, so that's why we are getting this circle right there. And I'm going to also change the background to be like something else, like maybe crimson would be fine. And now if you save that, and here you can see that background is changed to crimson. We can also provide a duration if you want to. So duration of 3 seconds in this case. So it will take a little bit of time. Let me just refresh that. It will take a little bit of time to apply that crimson color to it and also that opacity. So what I'll do, I'm going to also provide like, I don't know, I want this to be like go to the y-axis of 100. And now if you save our file, and here you can see it will take a little bit of time and all of that animation is applying. And I'm going to just provide a repeat of -1, and you already know that it will just repeat it infinite times. So if you just save that, and this animation will happen again and again from the beginning through the end. But we also have a new property in GSAP which is called a yo-yo, and as the name suggests that it will just yo-yo our animation. Like it will just start our animation from the beginning and through the end, and it will just start from the end through the beginning. You will see that just in a second. So yo-yo, I'm not making this up, but this is a property inside a GSAP. So if you save that to true, if you set that to true, and here you can see it will just go from the bottom to the top. So animation will start and it will just go from the bottom to the top and stuff like that. If I just comment this line out, let me just comment this line out, and here you can see that blink in this animation. So if you don't want that, you can provide this yo-yo property inside your animation. Okay, so that was the second one. Let me just close all of this file, and now let me get into this from and FromTo. So I'm going to open all of these three files. So you already know that we have this star file right here, but in this case we are going to be providing three boxes. So what I'll do, I'm going to just select I'm going to write a section. Maybe I'm going to give a class of container, and I am going to just write box and then box one would be fine. Okay, so no content, nothing inside there, and I'm going to duplicate that 2 times. So 2 and box 3 we have. So if you save our file, and let me just launch that very quickly. So I'm going to open it with live server, and this is how it looks like. So here you can see we just have 3 boxes right here, no animation, nothing, just a little bit of styling to it. So here you can also see their styling. I just provide I just changed the width and height and provide a little bit of background color and stuff like that. You can check out if you want to. So now let's just learn about a from and also the FromTo method in GSAP. In from method, you don't have to specify the initial state, like it will just figure out by itself. Let me just write there first of all, from. So in from method, you don't have to specify the initial state. It will figure out by itself. Okay, so I'm writing this definition because in some situation, if I say something and you don't get it, so you can also take a look at through this note. So I'm going to write FromTo and FromTo. In FromTo method, you have to specify the default value and also the new animation state as well, like from where you want to start your animation and from where your animation should end. Okay, so this is just a difference between the from and the FromTo method. So now let me just get to the coding, and then you'll get to know what I'm talking about. So first of all, let's just learn about a GSAP from, and come on, I forgot to provide dot. Oh my goodness, now let me just write it one more time. So we have GSAP, then we have, come on, GSAP, then we have a dot and from. I'm gonna select my box inside there, box 1 in this case, not the other one, but just a box 1. And we have what do we have? I'm gonna just move there to the y-axis, like 200 would be fine. And I'm going to also provide duration to it, like 3 seconds it will take. And I'm going to also provide linear easing. So you can learn more about this linear easing and stuff by yourself. So if you save that, and here you can see, let me just refresh that. And here you can see it will just come from the top through the bottom right here, like one time. If you want this one to repeat, so let me just write repeat, like -1. So this animation will happen again and again. We can also just provide our yo-yo property, and we can set that to true, and boom, this is how it looks like right here. Okay, so it will just come from the top through the bottom, and in this case we are using the from, and as we saw that in the from, did I just write from? Okay, that's from. In the from method you don't have to specify the initial state, it will just figure it out by itself. So now let's just learn about this other one, which is that FromTo method. So I'm going to comment this line out, and you know what, I'm going to cut these comments from here, and let me just put it right here at the end. And now let's just learn about the FromTo method. I'm going to access my GSAP. I'm going to use that FromTo, and I'm going to just select my box 2 in this case. So in this case I'm going to be using 2 objects right here. So the first one will be for the initial state, and the second one will be for the changing the animations. So you will get what I'm talking about. But first of all, as the initial state, I want this animation to happen from y-axis like 200 pixel, and I'm going to also provide the opacity of 0 to it. So this is going to be the initial state of my animation. And what else can we do for that? We want to end our animation by providing the opacity of 1 to it. We also want to provide the y-axis, and we want to set that to like -200, and we also want to provide a duration of 3 seconds. We also want to provide the easing of linear. Okay, so we will discuss this easing and stuff in a second, but you don't have to worry about that for now. But now let's suppose if you want to provide also like a border radius, so you can just write border radius, radius, and you can set that to 0. Okay, so if you want to provide like something else in CSS, like I don't know, maybe I don't know, if you want to provide something else, so like you can have access to any property of a CSS, but you are not allowed to provide the dashes, like I don't know, font and family. This is invalid. If you want to use a font family, so you'd use that in uppercase, and then you can specify the font family. But we're not providing any font families in animations and stuff, but that was just a little bit of side notes. And I'm going to also provide a repeat to the -1. So we want to repeat this animation like countless times. So we also want to provide a yo-yo of true. So if you save that, and here you can see this animation will happen, and here you can see the initial state. Let me just refresh that. The initial state will be 0, and it will just come from the y-axis, which is that y-axis. Let me just go back, and the initial state will be y-axis 200, and opacity will be 0. So here you can see the opacity is 0, and then opacity is set to 1. And also we are changing the border. Where are you? The border is setting to 0, and here you can see, let me just see that, and the border is now setting to 0, and this is going to be the initial state, and this is going to be the what do you want to do with that animation. So that was just quite simple and easy, and you can learn more about that in the docs. If I'm confusing you up, I'm sorry about that. So now let's discuss about staggers. So now let me just open this index.html file, and we have just a little bit of styling for this elements and stuff. So what I'll do, I'm going to hide this head area from there. And in this case, we are working on a stagger, so we would need a lot of boxes. So I'm going to just select my container, and I'm going to just create a div with a class of box, and I want them to be like 7 maybe. Okay, so we have 7 boxes inside that container if we save that. And now let me just launch that very quickly. I forgot that stuff all the time. And here you can see we have 7 boxes right here, and we are going to be discussing that stagger. But let me just go to the docs, because stagger is a little bit confusing thing, and not confusing, it's a very cool thing to work with, but it's a little bit confusing that I'm explaining to you. Okay, so I'm going to just search for stagger, S-T-A-G-G-E-R-S. There we go. Stagger, I'm going to click on that, and you can learn explanation about their video. Okay, so we have different kind of stagger. So stagger are these kind of animation, and you cannot apply stagger to just one element and stuff. You would provide that with a lot of elements. So here you can see this stagger is starting from the center. We can also change that to end, and this is how it will start from the end. If you want to provide it from the edges, so you can also work with the edges. If you want to start it randomly, so it will just work with it randomly. If you want to provide 11 indexes, so this is how it will looks like. You can also provide axes like to the y-axis or through the x-axis if you want to. And easing is something which we didn't discuss, but you can also provide easing. You already know easing if you've taken my HTML and CSS courses, so I've discussed this easing and stuff in a really great depth. But anyways, so that's that. So now let me just get into my coding, and now let's just write a little bit of coding. So what I'll do, I'm going to just write gsap.set. So come on, gsap.set. I'm going to zoom in a bit, and I'm going to select my box first of all. So we have our box, and I'm going to just change the border radius, there we go, and I'm going to set that to 0 because this is the initial state. And I'm going to just write gsap.to, and I'm going to select my box, like all of the boxes, not one box, but I mean all of the boxes right here. Okay, so I'm going to select all of their boxes. I'm going to provide my words object, and the border radius property will be now set to like 100 because we want to provide a border radius to it. And I'm going to also provide a duration of 1, and at the y-axis it will just move to the y-axis like 100, and we have a ease of power 1. Okay, so I didn't discuss this easing, but hey, this is just a property for easing. Anyways, I'm going to show you that just in a second. But we have a yo-yo, it will be now set to cherry, and let's just provide a repeat to it. So repeat will be -1. So if you save our file, and this is how my current animation looks like a bouncy animation, and that's not looking cool. We want this stagger animation, we don't want this ugly animation. So for that we are going to be using a stagger. So if I just write stagger, then we are going to be specifying that object. So we want to provide the property of amount. So what will be the amount you want to work with? So this amount property is the total amount of time in seconds. So if I just provide like 4 in this case, so that's that. And then we are going to be also providing another property which is a each. So each, and then I'm going to just set that to like 0.5 second would be fine, not seconds, but so the each property is the amount of time in second between each subtween start times. So that's that. And finally we are going to be also providing the from, and it will be now set to 0. So the from is the position in that array from which the stagger will eliminate. So if you just save our file, and boom, this is how it looks like right here. Okay, so you can work with that, or you can provide like different kind of other animation if you want to just like copy these animations. So we have grid, they use a grid, we don't need that. You can also provide the axis if you want to. And let me just write, you know what, I guess this is looking cool, but let me just show you this animation. First of all, I forgot to show you this animation. I've watched this animation a lot of time, so that's why I don't notice that. I want to show you that this is the first step, and boom, 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 boom. Okay, so that's how you can work with these staggers. So staggers are massive. If you want to work with that, so feel free to work with that. You can also learn about advanced staggers, but I just kind of want to give you a test. And here you can see that definition, that amount, like amount, you in the amount property you'll provide a number, it will not take any string and nothing, the total amount of time in second that gets split among all of the staggers. So if amount is 1 and there are like 100 elements, the stagger is nearly, there would be like 0.01 seconds between each subtween start time. If you prefer to specify a certain amount of time between each tween, use the each property instead. Okay, so we have each, we have grid, we have axis and ease properties, and you can learn more about that in your spare time. So this is just a basic animation I want to show you in the staggers, and yeah, you can explore more of them if you want to. So yeah, now let's get into the controlling tweens. So I'm going to open these 3 files right here, and we have just a little bit of styling. I'm going to cut that, and we don't have nothing inside this app.js file. And yeah, we just have a little bit of HTML, just a boilerplate, and we have our link to the style sheet. I'm going to hide this head area from there, and what I'll do is that I'm going to start working on our section, and I'm going to just write a container. Okay, so I'm going to give a class of container. Inside this section, I'm going to write my box of container. Okay, so inside this box container, I'm going to create box, and I'm going to also give a class of box1 to it. And yeah, that's looking better. Underneath that box, I'm going to create my new section with a class of buttons container. So this buttons container section will contain all of our buttons. So I'm going to just write button. I'm going to give a class of play, and I'm going to also provide a text of play to it. So we have play, we have pause, and we also have a restart. Okay, so let me just write a pause, and we have to write a restart animations. So yeah, that's that. This is our HTML. If we save our file, and this is how it looks like. So now in this case, we are going to be controlling our animation. Like if we click on this button, so it will just play our animation. If we click on this pause button, it will pause our animation. If we click on restart, so it will just restart our animation. And you can go crazier, like you can provide a staggers if you want to, but in my case I want to show you just a simple way of controlling your tweens and animations. So I think like one box would be fine. So now let me just get my buttons first of all. So I'm going to write let play will be now equals to a document.query selector of play. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that a few times, and I'm going to change that to like instead of play, I'm going to change that to pause, and I'm going to also select my play, and I'm going to change that to restart. Okay, so that's them. And now let me just write my tween. So I'm going to write let tween, and I'm going to store that in variables. So I'm going to write GSAP.to, and we already stored that inside our tween variable. You can give any name you want, and I'm going to just write box1. Like we will select this box1 right here, so that's why I give the class of box1 to it. Inside there, I'm going to provide this object to it, and it will go to the y-axis like -2 -200, and we want to provide a little bit of duration like 5 seconds, and the background color I'm gonna change that to like I don't know which color would be. Maybe I will go to a teal color. Okay, so if you save our file, and yeah, here you can see we have this animation, but it's not controlling. Like if I click on this button, nothing is happening right here. Like nothing is totally happening. Anyways, so if you want to control our tweens, so for that we have to attach a few event listeners to it. So now let me just select my play, and I'm going to attach this add event listener. If we click on that play button, so what do we want to do? We want to fire this event. So what do we want to do with this event? We want to write the tween.play method. Okay, so play, and so this play method is a built-in method of this GSAP. Okay, so it will allows us to play our animation, and by default it will be played. Like by default it will be played, but now let me just duplicate that a few times so that we get the same functionality as we want. So I'm going to write pause, and I'm going to also write restart. So these three are the method which GSAP provides to us, and which allows us to play our animation, pause our animation, and restart our animation. So I'm going to just write a pause in here, and now let me just write restart. Come on, restart. So we've already selected there right here up above, and now we are just controlling our animation. So if we save our file, and now if I just refresh there, here you can see this animation will be coming. So if I just click on restart, so here you can see my animation is restarting. If you want to pause this animation, so I'm going to just click on there, and it will just pause my animation. If you want to play it again, so I'm going to click on there, it will just play it again. If you want to restart it, and here you can see this is how you can play around with these animation by yourself. Okay, so that's cool. Like you can work with that. That's awesome thing to work with. But now let's just discuss the final topic in this video, which is a timelines. And yeah, let me just explain that to you. So I'm going to just give you two examples of these timelines because they are cool stuff. Not hard, to be precise, not hard, but they are a cool thing to work with. So that's why I want to give you two examples of timelines, and after that we are going to be creating our projects. So now let me get into the timelines. So I'm gonna hide this head area from there, and what I'll do is, so you guys can see everything a bit better, I'm gonna create a section with the class of container, and I'm gonna just write box, and I'm gonna also give a special class of box1, duplicate that 2 times, box2 and box3. So if we save our file, right click on it and open it with the live server, and this is how it will look like. But I don't know why we don't have any styling for the background. I guess I messed up. Container, there we go. I'm gonna copy them, I'm gonna paste it right here, save our file, and yeah, this is how it looks like. Anyway, so I'm gonna cut this style sheet from there, and now let's just start working on our GSAP. So now let's just discuss our topic, which is a timeline, and as the name suggests that it will be a timeline for our tweens. So what do I mean by that? First of all, let me just declare a variable. I'm gonna give a name of like vartl for like timeline, and I'm gonna just write GSAP, and I'm going to just write like timeline inside there. Okay, so now we have our timeline. So I'm going to write TL, and then we are going to be using this to method inside there. I'm going to select my box 1. So what do I want to do with that? I'm going to just write like duration of like 2 seconds, and I want to scale it up a bit. So I'm going to write scale of 0, opacity will be set to 0, and delay will be also set to, delay will be just set to like 1 maybe. And now I want to attach that to method one more time. So what I'll do, I'm going to just select my box 1. Now I mean, in this case I'm going to select my box 2. In this case I select my box 1. In this case I selected my box 2 right here. So what do we want to do? I am going to just repeat myself again and again. And by the way, we are going to be refactoring this code just in a second, but hey, I want to repeat myself. I want to show everything. So we have like 200 right there, and now let me just attach one more 2, because we want to also animate this third box as well. So I'm gonna just write like box 3, and now let me just write my vars object, and duration will be now set to 2, and x-axis will just go to like 200 pixel, and border radius radius will be now set to just 0 in this case, and also rotate will be set to 360 degrees. Okay, so this is going to be for my box 3. And finally, let me just use my set method right here. So I'm going to also change my set method, and I'm going to select my box of one more time. Okay, so I'm going to write a duration of 2 seconds to it, and scale will be also set to 1, and we have opacity of 1. So if you save our file, and now if you just refresh it out, okay, so it's not working, and I don't know why. Okay, I forgot to include this E. So now if you save our file, and here you can see this animation. So first it will just animate our first box, which is right here. So what are we doing with it? We are just providing a duration of 2 seconds to it, and we are just scaling it to 0, providing the opacity of 0 to it, and we are just delaying there for 1 second. So what else we are doing? We are just selecting our box 2, and we are providing a duration of 2, and we are just pushing that to the x-axis of like minus 200. Then what else we are doing? Then we are providing a duration of 2 seconds to the box 3, and the x-axis, it will just move to the x-axis like dash 200 pixel, and the border radius will be set to 0, and the rotation will be just set to like 360 degree. And finally we are just setting the box 1, and duration will be now set to 2, scale will be now set to 1, and opacity will be also set to 1 again. So if you just refresh that, and here you can see this is the animation for the box 1, then box 2, then we have our box 3, and then we have our box 1 again right here. Okay, so this is a timeline, but we can do better than that. So what I'll do, I'm going to just select everything right here, and I'm going to just comment it up right here. Or you know what, I'm going to comment it, or you know, let me just uncomment there. I'm going to duplicate all of these code right here, and now I'm going to comment the first version of it. So I'm going to comment that out, and now let me just hit enter, and we have that version right here. So now let's just refactor this version. So I'm gonna write like a refactor. Okay, so refactor, boom. Yeah, that's looking better. So we can also provide default values for this timeline. So we can just pass our curly braces right here, and we can just write a defaults. Okay, so defaults will be there, and I'm going to just provide defaults of like duration 1 second maybe. So now what I will do is that I'm going to go inside this timeline, and we've already selected our box 1, so I'm going to remove this duration of 2 seconds. We provide a scale of 0. We also provide opacity. That's looking better. That's looking better. And then after that we have our box 2. We will just remove this duration one more time, and yeah, that x-axis will be fine. After that we are working on our box 3, so we can just remove this duration from it. So I'm going to just remove this box 3, and yeah, that's x-axis, that's fine. This rotation is fine. So finally I'm going to just write like x-axis will be now set to 200, and also I'm going to attach one more to method in it, and I'm going to select my box 1 one more time, comma, and now here what I'll do, I'll just write a scale of 1, and also opacity will be now set to 1. So if we save that, and now here you can see there's a box 1, there's a box 2, there's a box 3, there's a box 1 one more time. Okay, so this is how you can refactor your code into the timelines, and you can learn more about timelines if you want to. So here you will find, okay, so we have a timelines, and you can do crazy stuff with this timeline. So a timeline is just a powerful sequence tools that acts as a container for Tweens and other timelines, making it simple to control them as a whole and precisely manage their timing. Without the timelines, building complex sequence would be far more cumbersome, because you need to use a delay for each animation, for example like these, and then that code is refactored to these and stuff like that. So that was just the first example of a timeline, and that second example is also kind of the same like the first one, but hey, we will just see that anyway. So so let me just hide this head area from there, and now inside this body what I'll do, I'll just create my section, and I'm going to give him a class of container, and I'm going to just write a box of container. Inside this box container I'm going to write like h1 of hello Hussein, my own name Hussein web dev, and then underneath this div I'm going to create my own section, give a class of buttons container. Inside this buttons container I'm going to just write a box and also box 1. Okay, so duplicate that a few times, so we have box 2, and then we have a box 3. Okay, so if you save our file, and that's that. If you check him out, right click on it and open it with the live server, and that's looking like that. And I don't know why I did provide a black color to it, but hey, that will work. First of all, I'm going to create my timeline, and I'm going to store that inside a TL variable. So I'm going to write GSAP and then timeline. Okay, so inside their timeline I'm going to provide my words object, then I'm going to provide my defaults object, and I am going to just provide a default value of duration will be now set to 1. Okay, so that's our timeline. Now let me just attach my to method to it. I'm going to select my h1 just like that, and after that I'm going to provide a y-axis of 100, and also the color will be now set to totally white in this case. And now let me just attach my the to method one more time. So I'm going to just select my box 1, and yeah, let me just provide my x-axis. It will be now set to 100 pixel, and then we have our background color of it will be now set to totally pink. Okay, so that's that. Now let me just attach my to method one more time, and I'm going to just provide a box of 2. Okay, so y-axis will be now set to 100, and background color will be now totally set to purple in this case. And finally, let me just attach my what do we call it, to method one more time to the box 3. So I'm going to just write box 3, and let me just write x-axis, and it will be now set to 100, and I'm going to provide a background color of crimson, CRMSON. And now if you save that, so here you can see that animation will happen for this text right here. Then we have our box 1, box 2, and then box 3. And here you can see we select our to method, we select our h1, and we provide that styling to it. Then we select our box 1, and then we select our box 2, and then finally we select our box 3. So this is what I want to show you in this course. I know it's not a long course, unlike my other courses, which is like I don't know, 80-hour or 14-hour long courses. I have already covered like 100 projects. So last time when I was checking that, so I guess it was like about 30-hour of course, or I'm not sure about that, but I guess it was just like 30-hour or maybe 35-hour of course. I'm not sure about that. So this course was just like a sweet course to work with. So now it's time to create our first project. So here you can see we have this one image right here, which is box Walter is better, and it is came from unsplash.com. If you want to check it out, so you can. Otherwise, I'm going to give you a link to my GitHub repository, which will bring you to my GitHub repository, and then you can download it from there if you want to. So the first thing I would do is that I'm going to just start from my HTML. So we have our metadata, we just link that to our CSS file, and we have the serial of that GSAP. Okay, so inside this body, what do we have to do? I'm going to write my navigation. Inside this navigation, I'm going to write a div with a class of logo container. Okay, so inside this logo container I'm going to just write like creatives or yeah, you know, I'm gonna just write lowercase creatives. There we go. And underneath this div, I'm gonna write my ul. Inside this ul, I'm gonna write my li. So li, and I want them to be like, I don't know, maybe 4 time would be fine. Okay, so I'm going to just write like a main features. Okay, so then we have a products. After that we have a shop, and we have a contact right here. Okay, so I'll just put my pound symbols inside there, just like a pound. Come on, pound symbol. There we go. And now underneath there, we are going to be creating our section with a class of sidebar. Underneath this sidebar, I'm going to create a new section with a class of content container. Inside this content container, I'm going to just render my image, which is this image right here. As alternative text, I'm going to just write like or you know, I'm not going to give him any alternative text. I'm going to give him a class of main image, because we just have one image and this is going to be our main image. Okay, so I'm going to just write a content, so content, and yeah, inside this content I'm going to just write my main title, and it will be like creatives. Okay, so underneath there I'm going to write a paragraph of main info, and I'll just put my welcome to the real world, word and period. I'm going to also provide a br tag and explore or gallery. Okay, so if you save that, and now let me just right click on it and open it up. Okay, so it will just open it right here, and that's looking awful. Okay, so now let me just make that a bit smaller. Yeah, it is looking awful. So now let me just take care of it. Yeah, so I'm gonna go to my CSS, and now let me just style that a bit. So here you can see we just have 2 fonts right here. So the first one is Roboto, the second one is Kumar one outline, or whatever you want to call it. These fonts came from a fonts.google.com if you want to check that out. So the link is like fonts.google.com if you want to check that out. Anyways, so now let me just start working on our navigation. So what I will do, I'm going to select my nav, and I'm going to just provide display of flex to it. Justify content will be space around, and align items will be now set to totally center. Position will be now set to fixed, because we want our navigation to be totally fixed. Then the width will be set to 100, the z index will be set to 99, and margin for the top I'm going to give him like 20 pixels. So if you save there, and you cannot see that because we have to take care of that image first. This image is taking the entire area. Come on. Let me just select first of all that image so that we can work with our project. So I'm going to write main image, and I'm going to give him like I don't know, the width of like 440%, and the margin for the top will be now set to 3 rem. Margin for the left will be now set to 6 rems. Okay, so if you save there, and yeah, this is how it looks like, and this is how our main creative navigation looks like. Anyways, so underneath this navigation, what I'll do is that I'm going to just write my nav and ul. Display will be now set to totally flex, and boom, this is how it looks like. And I guess I messed up something inside this navigation. So we have logo container, and we put all of our stuff inside this navigation, but we don't want that. I'm going to just close my navigation underneath this ul. Yeah, that's looking better. Alright, so now let me get into my CSS one more time. And now let me just select my li, so nav ul li, and I am going to just provide a list styling of none to it. And margin for the left, I'm going to provide a 4 pixel, and font size I'm going to increase that to 12 pixel, and I'm going to use a font family of sans serif, as you guys know me. Sans serif, and yeah, that's looking awesome. Yeah, so underneath this li, I'm going to select my nav ul li, and also the anchor tag, and the text decoration will be now set to none, and the color in this case I'm going to be using like 3, so we have 4 5 6, so 4 5 6, there we go. So yeah, totally black color. Underneath this anchor tag, I'm going to select my logo container of h1, so I'm going to just provide a font family of sans serif to it. So if you save there, and that's looking a bit bolder. And now let me just get my sidebar, so I'm going to write sidebar. Did I spell it correctly or not? So copy there, I'm going to paste right here. That was correct. Anyway, so I'm going to just provide a background of d7. Let me just write d751 5.7, there we go, 5.7, there we go, and width will be just 30%, and I'm gonna also provide a height of 100 VH. Position will be totally set to fix, and the Z index will be now set to -1. So if you save there, and yeah, this is how it looks like. So we are getting there, but it will take a little bit of time. And now let's just take care of our content container. Okay, so which is that content container where we are placing all of our content, like our image and our info. Okay, so now let me just take care of that. So I'm going to write a display of flex to it. Flex wrap will be now set to wrap, and justified content will be now set to center, and align items will be also set to centered. So height will be also set to 100 VH, and the font family I am going to change that to Roboto and sans serif if you don't have access to that Roboto. And yeah, this is how it looks like right here. After that, now let's just take care of this title. So underneath this main image, I'm going to just write main title, and I'm going to just write transform of rotate. We want to rotate our text to the 90 degrees, so 90 degree. And also the margin for the top, I'm going to give like 10 rems, and the font family, not font family but font size, will be now set to 3 rem, and the font family in this case will be that Kumar. Let me just write Kumar 1 outline. If you don't have access to that, so then we want to use our cursive font. So there we go. Yeah, so if you save that, and this is how it looks like. You know, I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. Yeah, that's looking better. And now let's just take care of our main info. So I'm gonna write main info, main info, and the transformation for that will be, oh, you know what, I messed it up something. No, that's fine. Rotate will be also -90 degree, because we also want to rotate this text as well. So font family, I'm going to set that to sans serif, and text alignment will be also set to center. Width, I'm going to give him like 200 pixel, and the margin for the bottom, I'm going to give him like 5 pixel, not pixel but rems. Okay, so underneath that, I'm going to just write margin for the left of 7 rems. So if you save that, and yeah, that's looking better. But the final thing which we have to do is that we have to provide our animations to it. So what do we have to do? We have to go to our JavaScript file and provide our animations to it. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to declare our variable, and we want to just store our timeline inside there. So we want to write timeline, and now let me just provide my words object, so defaults. And now let me just provide the opacity to 0. This is going to be the default one. The ease will be set to linear, linear, and comma duration will be now set to 1. And that's that. Underneath all of that, what I'll do is that I'm going to just access my timeline, and I'm going to use my FromTo method right here. And now first of all, let me just select my sidebar, and I'm going to just provide the default value of like width, width, and it will be now set to 0. I'm going to provide a comma, and I'm going to also provide this curly braces, and opacity will be now set to 1. The width will be now set to how much? 30%. Okay, so underneath that, I'm going to also select my timeline from 2, and I'm going to select, in this case, I'm going to select my main image, which is that image. We just have one image right here, so x-axis will be set to 0, and I'm going to also provide opacity, and it will be now set to 1. Okay, so that's looking better. And finally, let's just write our timeline from 2 of our content, and I'm going to just provide an x-axis of like 100 pixel or whatever, and then we have a comma, then we have opacity, it will be now set to 1, and the x-axis will be also set to 0. So if you save that, and boom, 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 kaboom, we are totally done with our project, and that's there. And by the way, I forgot to show you one thing, which is that what was that? What was I thinking? I was thinking about I don't know, man, I forgot that. What was that linear I was thinking about? Linear, I use linear somewhere. Okay, so we have a easing, so let me just write ease visualizer. Was there ease visualizer? Or animation visualizer. Let me just type a visual, visualizer, or whatever that was. I'm gonna just quick Google search. So GSAP visualizer. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So we have a Is visualizer. I kind of forgot the name of it. And here you can see we have this visualizer right here, and you can do crazy stuff with that. So by default it will be like that. If you run it, and boom, our animation will look like that. We can also provide our power, and we can also even change these degrees, and you can get all of this code right here. So if you just copy Is, it will copy it to your clipboard, and there we go. You can also provide the expo, and this is how it will look like. You can go crazier like sine theta. And you can go slow, it will just move it to the slow. You can go rough, like kind of a rough, nobody wants that. This is kind of an awful one. You can do bouncing if you want to, and we have elastic is kind of a weird one. And then we have a back, so you can just go back. So I've used this easing right here, and I provide just a linear to it, and you can use all of these stuff right here. So that's the end of the course. I know that was a short course, like this is the shortest course I have ever made, but hey, this is like one of my favorite courses that I've enjoyed making it, because this is an animation course. If you want the advanced version of this course, so feel free to comment it out, and I'm gonna do my best to provide great projects using advanced techniques of GSAPs. So that was just a course for beginners. It's not only for beginners, like we cover a lot of stuff inside there, but hey, I guess that was just a quick introduction for beginners to like GSAP, and you can learn crazy amount of stuff. And like GSAP is the most awesome and the most loved JavaScript animation framework, so you can check like anything you want. So we have different kind of tools like scroll trigger, which is like awesome thing to work with. We also have a developer tools for GSAP. So final words will be like, thanks for watching, and I've got a lot of courses if you want to check that out. I have course on a Tweens CSS with a lot of projects. I have got course on a JavaScript. I have 100 projects course. I have a lot of courses. If you want to check that out, that's going to be awesome. Anyways, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.